Intensive treatment.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Intensive Treatment, where we talk about all things Arkham. Marvel and I are here for the 50th time on whatever device you are watching from right now. We're back in the Intensive Treatment building for the 50th freaking time. Can you believe that, Marvel?
Man, we just keep breaking out every week or so. It's crazy.
I know. What are we doing here?
I
Why
don't
are we
know.
coming back to the
I don't
Intensive
know. That's what I haven't figured out yet. Is what are we actually doing in this building?
Treatment? Guys, you've been with us for 50 episodes. We can't wait for 50 more, but as for now, we're on 50 and we've got a really fun special topic to talk about one of our favorite video games of all time. Um, so for episode 25, just to preface, we made a video on Batman Arkham Asylum. What we love about it are fond memories of playing it growing up um, in a pre-Arkham Knight world, which was really great. Um, And now we're here at 50, and we figured it was fitting to talk about the next game in the series being arguably, I say arguably because Marvel and I may digress on this, but arguably the greatest superhero game ever made, Batman Arkham City. Um, I know Marvel is excited to talk about this, as am I. This game holds a very special place in my heart. And I know as well for Marvel it does too.
Yes.
I have so many memories with this game. It's too many to count, but I'm gonna try and gather as many I can for this episode. Um, yeah, I'm really excited to talk about City. And if you guys did just watch the Switch video, then you know we had some good things to say about City, and Marvel had some very good things to say about the Switch port. So kind of on a City streak right now. Um,
A little bit. We just got off our like asylum binge, so
yeah,
it feels appropriate to kind of like give City some attention.
yeah, and I just replayed City like a week and a half ago or something, so I'm due for a little walk through down memory lane here.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, what do you what do you want to start off with first? What do you want to start off with kind of before Arkham City came out? What your memories were hearing about it? I
Yeah.
know we kind of discussed this a little bit in one
Yeah,
of
we
our
can. Yeah, we can
videos, but
briefly. I guess we can briefly go. I like you said, we just did a whole video talking about trailers and whatnot.
right, which was
But I
fun. You should go
guess
check it out.
yeah, you should go watch it if you haven't already. Anyway, anyway, um, but I might have kind of talked about this in that video, but like it was immeasurable the amount of hype that was being garnered towards Arkham City around that time. Because you got to remember, Asylum came out, which was a sleeper hit. Nobody expected to be as successful as it was, and of course, you're gonna make a sequel. Like
Right,
it's guaranteed. Which they were kind of already teasing with that secret room in the warden's office, and
right.
then that teaser came out with uh, the idea of what Asylum or what they were doing with Arkham and how it was just like the whole city's in chaos and you see Joker as sick as he ever was and basically your imagination just kind of runs wild at that point about what
Yeah,
could
and I
happen.
know that, and Marvel had mentioned in the last video that, well, the trailers video that this game originally was just titled Arkham Asylum 2.
Yeah,
Um,
that's how they launched that trailer was just I don't know why that was the case unless they just didn't have the name finalized yet.
yeah,
Um
that's what I'm thinking.
so yeah, just Arkham Asylum 2.
Imagine how weird it would have been if it was called Arkham Asylum 2
I
and
was
just
just
actually
about to
got
say the same thing. Imagine how weird it would have been if just every Arkham game was just like instead of Arkham Knight, it's just Arkham Asylum 3.
I was just gonna say that. So we'd have Arkham Origins, Arkham Asylum 2, and then Arkham Asylum 3,
I
and then
think
Arkham Asylum
I think
VR.
I think Origins would have just been called Arkham Asylum 0.
Or it would have been Ham, um, Man Ham Aslam 0. We should just say that.
Manham Aslam too.
But yeah, so guys, it was originally marketed that way, at least for that trailer. And I don't remember when that trailer came out as much as I do the memories following with the cinematic trailer that followed that one. I do remember when it came out, but I don't know that I'll have much to say on memories apart from what I had already talked about in the trailers video. Um, but yeah, Marvel, what he said is true. You know, that time was super hype filled because it was a sequel to a game of the year. So, and it was Batman. So already right there you have two things that are going for it. Um that honestly that won't happen again the way it happened for Arkham City. It was the right place, right time. Like
Mhm.
Batman was getting really popular because of Arkham Asylum and the Dark Knight movies. So Batman was at like his height, right? And like Marvel said, you got a sleeper hit with Asylum, and obviously everyone's expecting a sequel. So naturally, everyone's in high anticipation, which was not the case for Asylum, at least on a larger scale. So you've got a totally different outlook on how this game is being promoted, how people are perceiving it before it's released, and the media coverage, especially. I know we talked about, Jimmy Fallon having Sefton Hill on the show to promote Arkham City, which is really crazy when you
Yeah.
think about it now. But City was very special in that Asylum was the first of its kind, but City was also the first of its kind. Um, and I think after City, that trend of being the first of its kind in the Arkhamverse just kind of dropped off because
Yeah.
obviously Origins was like a carbon copy, and then Night was just a disaster. So
The thing about Asylum that people forget or they were just not around for is that we didn't exactly know how Asylum was going to play out. Like
right,
they showed us, the look of the Asylum, the look of the characters and stuff, and how the gameplay would look. But like until we actually played it for ourselves, it was just kind of up in the air about how good of a game it was actually going to be. And
right,
like we just had, the 2000s games worth of, Batman stuff like Vengeance, Sinzu, um, Dark Tomorrow, Batman
mhm,
Begins, which are not the greatest games in the world. Fuck you, Alter. Like,
yep,
um, talking all that praise for Batman Vengeance, and I'm just like,
nah,
nah,
bro,
nah, bro, you got it all wrong.
go play Gotham
Um,
Knights, buddy.
it's trash. Anyway, so yeah, we didn't know how it was gonna turn out, and then I mean, when it did launch, we weren't expecting it to be as good as it was. And
Right,
then, when City was kind of making its rounds, the only thing people were really thinking about besides, the continuation of the narrative was just like how much of like is it gonna raise the bar or if it's just gonna fall short? Like how
right,
much improvement is going into it, that's that kind of thing. Um so it was kind of like a rehash of like the hype for Asylum, but also it was its own kind of entity. And you're right,
right,
it's something that we'll probably never have again as far as, these type of games because,
right.
they had the first two games and then it just kind of fell down afterwards. So
Yeah, and
but
people who are younger will never realize how Arkham Asylum and City literally did everything. Like, you couldn't add to what they did. And they added to it with Night with gameplay mechanics and stuff to an extent, but everything that's in Night stems from Asylum. Everything in Origin stems from Asylum. That the entire framework of Arkham hinges on Asylum and City.
mhm.
Um, and I obviously I'm gonna say it again. It dropped off after that, but there's a reason it did, is because City set the bar so damn high, with everything, traversal, um, graphics at the time, and it still looks good now. Um, Voice acting, narrative, um, direction. I mean, everything was just top notch. And people don't also remember that Rocksteady basically was nothing before the Arkham games in terms of like they weren't a household name for comic book fans. They weren't
They
even a
liter
household name for
they
video games.
they literally had one game under their belt, and it was a first person shooter.
Yeah.
So
So this was like taking them to the top of the world. No pun intended with the challenge map.
yeah. Yeah, it was amazing to me how much like when you really think like City is the magnum opus for superhero games, and
Absolutely.
as much as we love Asylum and all that, like it literally you can't get any better than Arkham City.
No,
There are games that have come, you know, since then, which I think come really close, like Spider-Man PS4, for example,
definitely.
on that caliber, but like I still think after all these years, when it comes to like, if we're talking about the best of the best when it comes to the superhero game genre, it's like it's Arkham City, and I say that as a fan of Arkham Asylum more. So
Yeah. I'm with you 100% there.
yeah,
Um, and like I said, I just replayed it recently, and a lot of those same emotions that I had growing up playing it for the first time, um, they always come back. Um, First off, the games never get old, the first two. I could replay both those games an infinite amount of times and not get bored of them. Um, and that's a testament to everything that we just mentioned, story. Um, it's a beautiful game to look at. It's fun to be in that world. And I do feel that the older you get, the more you sort of understand the game and, all the spots for Riddler trophies and whatnot and just all the little idiosyncrasies, but it still doesn't negate that original feeling for me anyway. I don't know, how do you feel about it going back to it now?
going back to it, it's just like is just such an amazing feeling. Like I mean, we're gonna keep saying it over and over in this video, but like me and him are when it comes to our favorite Arkham game, it is Asylum. Like we just love everything
Absolutely.
about Asylum. But playing City is just like it's everything that we love cranked up to 11 and just made
Yeah.
all the better for it. Everything is improved from combat to stealth. Graphics are much nicer. Um, I mean, if we're talking about just great overall, the score, the music, like
Oh,
really
yeah.
sets that
Fantastic.
tone in. Um, the story's great too. I don't think it's as good as Asylum, but it's got
Mhm.
its own issues. But like, yeah, everything was just on a whole nother caliber, and
And the
experiencing
suit.
that for the first time was pretty like it was a pretty magical time. So.
Yeah, it was, and that was the first Arkham game I played was I wanna say it was Asylum, but the more I think back, the more memories I have with City because I was sort of at the age where I started to understand what I was doing with video games,
Mhm.
um, at least console games, because I was using a DSi, I think much many of my childhood years were on a DSi, but
Mhm.
I played a bit of Asylum, and when I was a kid, I got so scared of it that I just put it down after a certain amount of time. Um, and then City came out, and yeah, it just it became one of those games where I could rely on it to suck me out of reality for a while. Um, and I have a lot of fond memories. I remember the first time I got it, my friend, who is still my friend today, actually lent me the game before I bought it, and he lent it to me to beat, and I beat it in like a day, and it was the best day of my life. and I'll never forget that. I have very vivid memories of being in Wonder Tower at the end of the game and not knowing what the hell to do. So I would call him up and be like, "How did you beat this? What did you do? What was going on?" It was just it was really great. So yeah, those are just my initial thoughts about where to take with my memories. But um, go Marvel DC fan, tell us what's on your mind.
So I got my Xbox, let's say, Christmas 2010. Um, I had Shattered Dimensions for a couple weeks until my siblings broke the disc and completely ruined that. So for a while, I had nothing. And then one night, I rented Asylum, and for a whole year, it was basically just like literally after a couple weeks, I ended up owning that copy of Asylum. I loved it so much,
Hmm. Yeah.
and as I was playing Asylum over and over again, that's when I became interested in Arkham City coming out that year.
Hmm.
Like watching trailers over and over and over, just keeping up with it. And so I finally got City. It was like Christmas 2011. I didn't play it at launch because I didn't know what pre-orders were then. I
Right.
was a little babby idiot, but but um, so so it was just like it was an experience that I wish I could have again. Like just playing that for the first time and seeing, you're playing as Catwoman for the first time, messing dudes up with, claws and shit, getting arrested as Bruce Wayne and having Hugo right up to your face being like, if you fuck with me in any sort of way, your identity's just out in public. I don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah.
it's just like all those going to the Steel Mill for the first time, going to the museum for like just all these things that are just kind of cropping back. And, just I wish I could like that whole week was just nonstop playing playing Arkham City, and I wish I
Yeah.
could have it back. It was an amazing experience. So
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. It was fantastic. Especially I think I alluded to this. I don't remember which video it was, but it was in one of the last couple that we did. Um, but if we had played these games at any other point in time in our lives, it probably wouldn't have had the same impact as it did um, when we were young kids. Obviously, Marvel's a little bit older than me, but we're not that much apart. So we were still very young going into this, and just man, the imagination of kids, and especially with superheroes, it made me have such a fondness for being Batman in those games at the time. And that carried over into adulthood for me. And I think it's a good quality to have, and I think it's a testament to the storytelling as well that they were able to captivate um, basically everyone, not just kids, but adults and teenagers and
Hmm.
what have you. These games could do it, particularly Asylum and City. But City opened up the door for everybody to do superhero games. I mean, Asylum was so influential, but when City hit, it was like Marvel said, it was the magnum opus. So everyone was just riding that train for as long as they could.
Yeah. Yeah, like you were mentioning with the whole, playing it, like if we had played it at any other point in our lives, it makes me sad when I open up YouTube and like I probably said this in another video, but it makes me sad when I open up YouTube and I see just like these newer like people being like, yeah, I never really played the Arkham games when they came out, and they end up liking the games, but it's not like nowhere near the amount of like uh praise that we had for them as children. But uh yeah, it's just that part of society now where it's just like those games are kind of forgotten but also not. So like it, I don't know, it just makes me kind of upset. But
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
I
glad I played it when I did. And I think about that time and how because of these games, it it really got me into Batman. Like I really liked Batman beforehand, but it was because of these games, which like I've read the comics because of these games. I was really absorbed into
Mhm.
the character and that world because of these games. So like, it really does stuff to a person. Like a video, they say like video games are not really an art form or anything. It's just like video games can really do stuff for people when they try. So
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah, I mean, look, these games meant so much to so many people, and um, as kids, I don't think I knew what to expect. I don't think I knew the impact they were having on a larger scale, but I definitely knew the impact they were having on me
mhm,
personally, and it was immense. I mean, I had the same kind of thing where, I grew up watching the 2004 Batman show, and I was just loved it head over heels, watched it all the time whenever it was on, and I watched Brave and the Bold as well. Um, but up until that point, I was always kind of in a limbo of like, do I read comic books? Because I had some comic books, but I wasn't like someone who would ask my parents, "Can I go to the shop to get comic books?" Um, this game made me a comic book reader for sure. This
mhm,
game was the one that propelled me into reading comic books. It was the one that made me pick the Batman side over Spider-Man, overall, because I was always flip-flopping between, well, I love Batman, I love Spider-Man, but I think I'm sort of a Spider-Man guy. I still am it's so hard to choose, but at the time it was like, yup, I'm Batman all the way. Batman all the way. That's it. Arkham City, like, set that in stone at the time. Um, and it made me appreciate Batman a whole lot more for different reasons, for the maybe the more mature reasons that someone as a kid might not completely understand.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, thank you, Paul Dini, um, for doing that. You goat. Um, yeah. Where do we take it from
Yes.
here?
Um, should we talk about how we feel about the story?
Yeah, actually, it's a good segue because I know that earlier you said the story for you wasn't as good as Asylum's. It has share of issues, and I'm curious as to what that is for you. And because usually, obviously, mainly people will say that even people whose favorite game is Asylum, they'll say like, "Oh, I think City Story's better, but I just like the aesthetic of Asylum better," or whatever.
Mhm.
But you don't say that, so explain this.
Um, yeah, I think. I mean, I'm not saying that Arkham City has a terrible story. It's not like
No,
night
that's what you're
level of
saying.
terrible. Yeah, no,
I'm just kidding.
absolutely not. Um, yeah, it's not a bad story at all. Like for the most part, I still really enjoy it as it is. But it's just certain pieces of it that I look back on and I'm like, well, that kind of takes me out of it a little bit each time I play through the game. Um, I think the two things that I have the biggest issues with is the the role of the Joker and how
Mhm.
much he kind of just how he literally just took over the entire story, and also the complete lack of Hugo Strange, and also that whole Protocol 10 stuff is weird with Ra's al Ghul and stuff, and how he was the true mastermind of everything. But it's for the most part it's small nitpicks,
Right.
but I don't know, stuff like that where it's just like I was like, yeah, we have, we have Hugo Strange here and this whole thread of Protocol 10 and trying to figure out what it could possibly be. Oh, Batman got poisoned. Let's just pivot for like the next like 4 hours of gameplay trying to, get that all squared away and stuff. Um
Yeah.
and it's kind of a shame because Hugo could have potentially been a really good antagonist, like just kind of like slowly like deceiving you over the course of the game, and,
Yeah.
maybe getting a step ahead of Batman and stuff like that. The Arkham City prequel comics did a really good job of, like, having that sort of dynamic between the 2, where it was like, Hugo was in the shadows and, kinda orchestrating these things for Batman to take on, and then
Mm.
but it feels kind of just abandoned, and, it's just like they just forgot about it because, Joker's here. Why, we gotta have Joker come back. And I'm not mad that he's there. I'm just kind of upset that like so much of what Arkham City could have been is just resorted to the Joker. Honestly, though, it's not as bad as like Origins and stuff did, or even
Yeah.
Night for that matter.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but it's still kind of like still still kind of weak, if you ask me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, was that me?
That was me.
Oh, okay, it's fine. I'll just edit it out. Um, yeah, so I would agree with you actually, and I never actually thought of it that way, that Joker kind of just shoehorns his way into the story. Right after the steel mill, it's all about getting the cure. Um, that's literally the whole story. Um, and I never thought of it that way. I never thought he'd really do that. Um, but but yeah, I think now looking at it in that perspective, Rocksteady could have done a way better job at balancing the villains. Because yeah, there really was no balance. Hugo kind of is just not there. You hear his voice every now and again, protocol 10 will commence, blah blah blah. But at the beginning of the game, it really seems like he's this intimidating force, and he is this really high power, and he's running Arkham City, and he's got everybody under his thumb, including politicians, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, and that the fact that it's resorted to Ra's al Ghul is also, yeah, I'm not the fondest of that either. Um, it makes sense, but sometimes the things that make sense don't always work out. You can have things that make sense and be beneficial, or things that make sense that are just kind of, they don't feel like they pay off. And I think the Ra's al Ghul reveal is one that doesn't feel like it pays off.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, and it's a shame because I love everything with the Joker, but if they had just balanced it better with Hugo, then that would have been fine with me. So
Yeah, like if like him in the middle of the story, like you're trying to get the cure or something like that, and then there was some event that popped up that had Hugo kind of step in
right,
for a
exactly.
little bit. But it just literally Hugo shows up at the beginning, and then as soon as Joker shows up, like it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go into that corner there and never leave until like the
Right.
last hour or so. And I'm
Yeah,
barely in the last hour, so
right.
yeah.
And especially I feel like they tried to do it when they show that there's sort of this mutual connection between Joker and Hugo with the whole, um, what does he say? Strange is giving Joker the weapons kind of thing. But that
Mhm.
doesn't solidify my belief in how powerful Hugo Strange is. And his presence still isn't there, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that is definitely one of the faults in the story. I think apart from that, um, obviously we have the addition of side missions this time around, which we didn't have apart from the Riddler in Asylum. And for me, that's a part of its charm, but also something that I don't like as much about it. Um, I think with Asylum, it's great because it's very bare bones, and because there's not much to do, you get the most out of what you actually can do.
Yeah.
Whereas City side missions are very much just like blah, you know? I mean, you feel free to chime in whenever you want on your opinion on these, but like Bane
Yeah.
is just nothing. Like, what is that? Um, the
Yeah,
only one,
a lot of them are just kind of like like as far as gameplay, it's just kind of nothing. Like even for stuff that I really like involving Hush and whatnot, like it's
right?
just like you go to an alley, you scan a body, maybe you'll have to follow a trail somewhere or not, and like Azrael's another case where it's just like you meet him on the rooftops, you scan his thing, and then after a while it all matches up, and then you have to go to the church, and it's just a lot of like just a lot of nothingness in between,
Yeah, it's just
story.
repeating things multiple times until you get to the final one.
Yeah.
And Arkham Knight did that. They just milked the hell out of that one. Um, so I feel like City started this trend of, and we see it in Origins as well with the case files. Um, Obviously with what's the other one? The Penguin caches.
Mhm.
It all stems from City. I really feel like that was a missed opportunity because there was a lot they could have done. The only one I like, I mean, I like them all to an extent,
Mhm.
except Zaz. Zaz sucks. Um,
Yeah, that's
and so does Bane. Bane does suck, but
Bane,
Deadshot's
yeah.
fun. I enjoy doing the evidence stuff for Deadshot because I enjoy that
Yeah.
dynamic they have. But again, it's just very repetitive, and if there was maybe a little more wiggle room to do something else and not just do the same thing, that would have been great. But
Mhm.
that's why a remake would be great. But
Yeah.
um, so yeah, side missions not a huge strength, but there's some redeemable stuff there. I
I think
think.
compared to the rest of the series, what the side missions do best is its stories. Like
Yeah, I agree.
that's the strongest point about each of them is just like their plot lines,
Right.
especially when it comes to stuff something like I mentioned Hush. Like that
Hmm.
is a great mystery because it's just like you know, all the evidence is pointing towards Bruce Wayne being a murderer. And there's even a point where even Oracle's just kind of questioning, like, how do you know you didn't kill those people?
Right.
Like, even if you were under drugs or some sort of side effect of something, even if, like, the Joker poisoning and stuff like that, like, it
Right.
could have been possible. And then, you find out at the end it was Tommy Elliott the whole time, and has your face, your Bruce Wayne face is on his face.
Which still
Just like,
doesn't make a lot of sense that he would have Bruce's fingerprints, but that's just me.
yeah.
Um, so yeah. But I
I guess
agree.
he
The side
I
missions
guess he
have
could have pulled it from somewhere. Like it couldn't have been like I don't imagine he got them from Arkham City, but like maybe he
yeah.
just got them from some banquet or some shit.
Some banquet.
I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vicky Vale, we have footage of Bruce Wayne eating chicken wings in um the PF Chang's in Gotham General. Please send Dr. Tommy Elliott.
I'm just picturing Tommy like Bruce Wayne had his like glass of whatever, and just, Tommy's over it scanning it. What are you doing there,
Don't mind
Tommy?
me.
It's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Don't mind me. Just all right, bye. See ya. But yeah, yeah, side missions are okay.
Side missions are yeah.
Some are just bad though. Like I know mutually our I think our least favorite is the political prisoners.
Oh, I hate the political prisoners.
They're just so out of the way and annoying.
There's
All
so
you hear
many.
is, "Wow, somebody help!"
There's just so many of them, and it's all the same scenario each and
Yep.
every single time. They don't
Stop
change it
killing
up at
me.
all or anything,
Yeah.
or like it's just like some dude,
Yeah,
like
some dude.
some dude has a knife up to a political prisoner's neck, and then you either beat the shit out of him or you just do a silent takedown or a silent takedown smash or
Yep.
whatever you want to do. So you know.
How many is there? Is there like 10 or 15 or something?
It's gotta be like 15 or something like that. But also the percentages, like every time you take out a new one is weird. Because sometimes
It
it can
is
go
weird.
up like 2% or it goes up like 7%. And
Right.
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's side missions for you guys. I don't think there's much else for me to add to that. Um, how about gameplay? What do you think of the gameplay? Because look, I love Asylum. I love its simplicity. Um, but City really did push the boundaries a lot, and I was curious how you think it stacks up to Asylum. Not only because it's arguably better in terms of design, how it's used, Um, but also just the aesthetic wise, how it fits the game.
I think for the most part, City's gameplay like uh is just an amazing improvement to what came before. Like it's
Yeah.
to me, it's tweaked in all the right places.
Hmm.
And like everything that kind of felt weird about Asylum, they just snuffed it out and, made it all the better in City.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you.
yeah.
Do you think that where combat went was exactly where it should have been? And do you think they improved too much by the time night came around?
So I think for combat, they upgraded it where it needed to be.
Hmm.
Um I think by the time night came around, they were just like, what are we gonna do next? Like they had no
Yeah.
idea what they were gonna do for night. Um which
Definitely.
shows you just how well of a job they did with City.
Oh, for sure.
Um and yeah, I think there's nothing about City that felt to me was a bad decision as far as
Yeah.
making it better. Like to me, everything was just where it needed to be. That's like free flow, especially um, the cape stun and how you go to like a beatdown or jumping on dude shields. Like it was just like things that I would have loved to have done in Asylum, and I'm
Yeah,
glad
I
that they
was
did for the better in City.
to add on to that too, what is your favorite add-on that they've improved upon in combat or gameplay or both, whatever? What is
Um,
your absolute favorite?
it's between two of them. One is the cape stun beatdown, especially for like the armored enemies. I think it's incredibly satisfying.
Yeah.
And the other is something that people don't really use that often, or at least I've noticed. The multi-ground takedown.
Yeah. Great. It's a great upgrade.
Yeah, especially when you have like 7, 8 people on the ground, just jump right in the air, just like bam, 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 all of them
Yeah.
taken out. It's great.
So I love that one, but I have a soft spot for the bat swarm takedown. I love it. Um, it's satisfying to stun everyone around you and then just go around while you're in, free flow combat, just popping them all stunned.
Yeah, the
Um,
bat swarm I think is something that I've found that is a lot more useful to me now than it was like 5 years ago, let's say.
yeah,
But I do really like the bat swarm. Um I've used it a lot recently and I've told Swifty about this. For the Abramovich brothers, there's a trick that you can use involving the bat swarm, which basically just gives them a stun lock. So like you're beating up Mr. Hammer or whatever, as soon as you have the ability to use the bat swarm, you use the bat swarm. And then, the cycle just repeats and it makes that boss like an absolute cakewalk.
yeah.
And it really comes in handy for like that Joker fight in the steel mill later in the game. So
I actually used it on my last playthrough, and it really does help. It's just I took
it's great.
Mr. Hammer out in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, use that.
Do it.
Pro
Yeah.
tip.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
okay, so that was gameplay. Do you want to add any more on gameplay?
I think Delve to me is improved, but not by much. Like, it feels
Yeah,
relatively the same as it used to.
it definitely does. I don't think we start seeing real improvements, at least for me, until Arkham Knight. Um,
Yeah.
and even then, it's still the same system. Maybe even there's some improvements in Origins. Actually, surprisingly, you'll hear that from me. There was some improvements in Origins,
Mhm.
but um, yeah, stealth is relatively the same. It doesn't feel as stiff though. I don't know if
No.
you know what I mean, but it doesn't
Yeah.
feel as stuck in one
Yeah.
place. You
Yeah,
feel
no,
very
it's not.
movable.
Yeah, no, it's completely more user-friendly than it was in Asylum. Like, just moving around gargoyles is a huge difference, between both games.
And
So,
even down to the very silent takedown, it doesn't feel as stuck in one place as it did in Asylum. You know, when you were in a silent takedown in Asylum, if you got spotted, you ain't moving. You're gonna get shot, and you're either gonna die or you're gonna get your health down real low.
mhm,
In this, another additive was the knockout smash, which was a great addition to stealth. Um, it lets you get out of there really quick, or you can use it as a distraction, whatever. Um, but that is definitely a good add-on to stealth.
mhm,
So yeah, stealth semi improved, but not by much.
yeah.
All right, what's next, my brother?
I was gonna ask you the same thing.
Well, I think did we touch on traversal at all while talking about gameplay?
I don't think so.
Let's talk about traversal real quick because there is definitely some improvements and some new things. For one, you can glide and dive bomb, and they show that off in the very opening seconds of the game. As soon as you put the bat suit on, they tell you to do it when you jump off a building. Um, it was definitely talking about what you said before about how everything was tweaked in just the right way. That was the perfect thing to add in, especially because you're in a portion of Gotham City now, so it's not as closed off as Asylum.
Yeah, to me, traversal it's just a complete upgrade to what it was
Yeah,
in Asylum. Because in Asylum, like you could glide around, like if you go to the top of the clock tower and stuff, and go to one of the entrances to the other parts of the island, like it would just there was sort of moon mover mobility in your gliding, but not by much. Like it's a
right.
lot stiffer and whatnot. Which in some cases, like in the very beginning of the game, when you're first using it to glide across the pit to save that one guy, or maybe you don't save him. I don't know what your gameplays are like. Um, it felt like it was only really useful for sections like that, but also, like you said, it wasn't in a giant space as it was in Arkham City. So,
Right.
but yeah, City just all improved it 100%. Like it's no contest. Like the ability to dive bomb and then pick yourself back up to gain altitude is great.
Yeah.
Um, Also the grapnel boost is a
Yeah,
really
I was
fun
gonna mention.
upgrade. Uh,
Yeah, it's just annoying that you have to wait to get it.
you're
And
not
you know,
waiting that long, but
no, but you know what? I when I was younger, I didn't even know that you could get it. Um,
I did the same thing. My first playthrough, I didn't know the grapple boost existed. I did the whole game without using it, so I was just kind of gliding around and grappling on top of the buildings and then moving on. And then I found out like, hey, you can use this to like propel yourself. I'm like, man, that would have been useful like 8 hours ago.
yeah, I mean, I was worse off. I did so many playthroughs without knowing because I just you see AR challenge and I'm just like I don't really feel like it. Um, and that was my mentality anyway. So I did it so many times. And then I think I stumbled across a YouTube video at some point and I was just like, how the hell did he do that? And
Yeah.
then I finally got the gist of it, my slow self. But yeah, great upgrade. I think that's definitely on my top spot for, or one of the top spots for my favorite additions to Arkham City. I love it. It's super useful.
Oh yeah, that the grapple boost to me is a necessity. Whenever you decide to play this game, if you're not going for the grapple boost right away, then you're an idiot. So
Yeah, I
let
do it every time now.
yeah, so just do the first like 4 or 5 challenges, get the grapple boost. You don't have to worry about the other AR challenges. They're just
Unless
for
you're going
bragging
for it
rights.
100%, but
Yeah, I mean they're mostly just there for bragging rights, but you
yeah.
know, but yeah, do the AR challenges, get the grapple boost. You will not regret it. It makes traversal even better. So.
Yeah. I think that's all I have to say on gameplay, um, and stuff, unless you have anything else to add. I think I wanna move on kinda to, um, the voice acting and the cast and if it improves or doesn't on the last entry.
Yeah, we can move on to that.
Okay. So this is difficult because on one hand for me, Asylum's voice cast is like goated. You got Arlene Sorkin, firstly, as her last performance as Harley Quinn. Um, and it's a great performance.
Mhm.
And then you get to City and you get Tara Strong, who I cannot stand as Harley Quinn. Like I loathe listening to her as Harley Quinn. Um, and there's something about Asylum that I just feel like I prefer. Kevin Conroy sounds a bit different. He sounds more nasally than he does in City. It sounds like he's very deep and authoritative in City, but he sounds more nimble in Asylum, which I really like, and it's the only time I'd ever heard him sound like that in his career. Um, I think that's part of the charm of Asylum, but I'm going to stick to the core three for right now, and then we can kind of branch off. But and obviously, Mark Hamill's always sounds like Mark Hamill, and he's always stellar, as is Kevin and Arlene. But I would say that Kevin's performance was definitely a bit different, which I prefer in Asylum than I do City. Um, but Mark Hamill definitely got to stretch his acting wings for this as
Mhm.
Joker.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you think? What's your preference here?
So to me, I think like I love all the performances from Asylum. As far as actual quality though, I think Cities is like top notch. I think everybody did a better job here than they did in Asylum. Because
Yeah,
I mean, I love Asylums, like all the performances there. Kevin's particularly with, like you said, that kind of nasally version of himself and
yeah,
not so authoritative and stuff. But to me, every time I look back on like the voice acting, like I get more Saturday morning cartoon than
yeah,
a serious game. Like to me, City is when they really like took things serious, and you can definitely
yeah.
tell with some of the end game stuff, like with Kevin and Mark, especially. So,
I do think that Kevin sounds like a more attached character in this game. Um, he's not just performing Batman; he's like becoming Batman in that game.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, I am on the opposite end. Although I obviously I love City's performances. They're top notch. I do love that Saturday morning quality to it though, to Asylum. Um, and not I know that you do as well, but I think sometimes I might prefer it over Cities. I love Cities. It's really hard, but
mhm,
you know, I think as of right now that's where I'm sitting with that. But we did get a lot more additions to City than we had in Asylum. So we have Catwoman now. I need to find Catwoman now. Um,
Gray Griffin, Gray Delisle, who's I think is one of my favorite voices for Catwoman, and I think she's at her best in this game,
I
um,
agree
compared to
completely.
everything else she was in. So,
Yeah. Well, when I listen to her, she's definitely my childhood Catwoman, even though I'd heard her in other things, but I was just super attached to the Arkham games as a young kid that I think it just rubbed off on me in that those performances were definitely the definitive versions for a long time for me. I mean,
yeah,
they still really are, if I'm being honest. But yeah, she was great in that game. The actress that played Poison Ivy didn't really play Poison Ivy except for one mission, so um, and it's
yeah,
not even a Batman mission, so sh yeah, I'm not really counting her. Oh, Nolan North is as Penguin.
he's good. I know a lot of people give him shit for his Cockney accent, but I like him
I
as the
think it's
Penguin.
funny.
Yeah,
I
I
enjoy
think
it.
that's what they were trying to go for. Like, I think it's supposed to be, I think it's supposed to be funny, but
Yeah,
um, Troy Baker as Two Face and
and
Robin,
Robin.
which
makes no
He's
sense because he's Jason Todd in
I mean,
Arkham Knight.
yeah, I don't yeah, that's a whole can of worms in of
Yeah,
itself.
we'll
But
we'll get to it.
I do like him as Two-Face, though.
Me too. I like him as Two-Face as well. Um,
I don't like him as much as the, actor from the animated series, but I think he does a
no,
good enough job with his own take.
I agree.
To me, the best addition by far is, Corey Burton as, Hugo Strange.
He's great. But also, hold on. We're forgetting the biggest upgrade in the Arkham games, Alfred.
Yeah, and Alfred actually has a voice role in
Yep.
in this game.
And and the voice of Alfred in these games, for me anyway, is apart from I'm forgetting his name, it's escaping me, but the guy who played him in the Batman 2004 is like my definitive Alfred. Um, but this
Yeah,
guy's great.
yeah,
He's and he feels really emotionally attached for me anyway when I listen to it. He sounds really true to the character. And I think Alfred's someone who has been a very sort of unchanging character over the course of Batman's history. Um, but each of the modern actors who have played him, including Michael Gow in '89 and stuff, they all brought their own unique feeling to Alfred that um, this guy also has.
mhm.
So yeah, I don't think I have much else to add on voice casts. I'm trying to think if there's. Ooh, whoever played Solomon Grundy was goaded.
I think that was
Just
Fred
kidding.
Tatasciore?
Was it?
Pretty sure.
Damn, I was just kidding, but that wow, I feel awesome now.
I think he plays Bane too.
Oh, okay, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Another performance that is it's okay. He's a really good Bane, but we don't really hear much of him, so it's
Um,
hard to say.
yeah. Also, as much as I hate Riddler, I love Wally Wingard's, like, just
Oh, he's
performance.
great.
Um, I like just his attitude towards Batman always, like, brings me joy every time I hear it, even though I just wanna strangle him.
Yeah, he's
So,
fantastic.
yeah. But, yeah, overall, just a fantastic cast.
100%.
Yeah. So what next? What are we talking about now?
Um, let's see. We went through gameplay, story, cast. Oh, do you want to talk about the DLC for a second?
I guess we can talk about the DLC.
I don't need to go in depth, but I just kind of want to, briefly just go over it. How do you feel as a whole on the DLC for this game?
I think for the most part, it's a really strong outing. Like you
Elaborate.
like you have the skin pack, which is great. You have 3 extra characters, which um uh vary in quality, but for the most part, I like using.
I'm
Um,
with you there.
you have Harley Quinn's Revenge, which is some extra story and also uh elaborates on some things post Arkham City, which is good. Um, and then also you got like the challenge map pack, which is also a strong selection of maps, like the Joker
Oh,
map, the Iceberg Lounge. So I think for the most part, it's like all of that together is pretty good for what you're getting your money's worth.
yeah.
And I think it's a much like it's better than what we got in like Origins of all
Yeah.
games. So I don't know. What do you think?
Um, for challenge map wise, I love them. I think they're probably my favorites in the game. Obviously, Iceberg Lounge at this point is like legendary in the Arkhamverse as
Mhm.
a challenge map. It's fantastic. Um, Joker's Fun House, or yeah, it's Fun House, not Fun Land. What am I talking about? Um, but Joker's Fun House is awesome. I love that map. It can be super aggravating, but it's great. Um, and I believe the Black Mask stuff as well. Um, was DLC if I'm not mistaken.
That was part of the Robin DLC. Yep.
Okay, right. That's probably my least favorite of the stuff in at least in the challenge maps. I'm not like the train one's awesome, but
Yeah.
the Predator one's whatever. It's just a Predator room to me.
Yeah.
Uh, did they ever say if the Black Mask stuff is that actually like canon to the story?
I have no idea, honestly.
Dude, that's something I'm gonna look that up after we're done recording. But that's an interesting thought. Harley Quinn's Revenge is good. It's like you said, it's nice to just have a little bit extra kind of meat and potatoes to the story. It's not like anything mind bending, but I enjoy seeing kind of post Arkham City Batman go through this grieving process. Um, so that's interesting to see. It
Yeah.
adds a layer to his character.
He lost his one true love, Joker.
He lost the love of his life, but yeah. So that's good. The skin pack is goated. I love almost every skin in there. I really enjoy. Obviously we have BTEZ, which is it's about perfect, folks. It's about perfect. Um,
Batman Beyond, 1970s. Earth One is great too.
freaking Sinestro Corps.
Sinestro Corps. You got some duds in there, mainly the
Yeah,
Frank Miller
definitely.
stuff.
Yeah.
They're not
The
even
boy.
like to me though. They're not even bad skins. They're just like okay, like they're fine. So
Yeah, and I would say that the most boring one though is year one. It's just so bland.
yeah,
So yeah, am I missing anything? I feel like that's all the DLC, if I'm correct.
Batman Incorporated. Like, well,
Ugh.
that's fine.
The friggin' jelly suit.
The jelly.
Looks like he was dipped in frickin' well, that's Return to Arkham, but still looks like he was dipped in wax and like gelatin.
Everybody looks like wax in Return to
That's true.
Arkham.
That's true. Um, so yeah, that's DLC. I just kind of wanted to briefly talk about that one, guys, just so that we get that out of the way.
Should we
Um,
talk about the music next?
hell yeah, we should. What a goated score.
Yes.
I think this is when the scores hit its magnum opus for these games. Although Origins, despite my feelings on the game itself, has a great score.
I don't
Um,
remember anything about Origin Score. And
what?
yeah, I said
Wow,
it. Yeah.
that's crazy. That's guys. I'm looking for a new co-host for this podcast.
You can't get rid of me. You fucking know.
It's true. You can't kill me. Um, no, but City for me is the most memorable. It's just so damn good. Even Asylum, it's my favorite game. But and I remember the score, but Cities is like stuck in your head. That theme song when you first boot up the game, um, the music throughout it, just you when you get into a stealth encounter, you know what's coming. When you get
Yeah.
into a combat encounter, you know what's coming. Like, and the ending song when he's carrying out Joker, spoiler, he dies if you haven't played it. Boo hoo, cry. Um,
The game's over
yeah,
10 years old.
yeah. Please just do yourself a favor and either play it or don't be watching the show.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, what a score never misses in this game at all.
No, I think as much as I love Asylum Score, and I think the Asylum Score is probably my favorite, but
Hmm.
to me, City is just better. Like that's how I'd sum up Arkham City in general. It's just like
Right.
I love Asylum. It's my favorite in the series, but it is undenied that City is a much better experience overall.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
But yeah, this score is great. This score too is like it's great for like everything. Like I could walk outside and go for a walk and put this on. Um, I could like work out or something and put it on.
Mhm.
Put it on at work. Like put it on to pre-game my music gigs just before I go up. Just be like, all right, I got to get into the headspace. I got to play some Arkham City.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. Not enough good things to be said about this score. So, and we both agree on that one.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? We talked about, I think we covered the main stuff. Unless I'm missing something.
Graphics are better.
Graphics are way better.
Yeah.
Um, I don't feel that the colors complement the game as much as Asylum's colors complement Asylum, but it overall is a much prettier game to look at. And they were working with a lot more, like you're in the heart of Gotham City basically.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of awesome scenery around you. Um, so many lights from the skyscrapers, and the lighting from the sky is great. The game is just really pretty to look at.
Hmm.
Um, Whereas Asylum is purposely made to not look pretty, so you're getting a different experience with that. But yeah, graphics are better.
I think I don't even know where to go from here, to be honest with you. I think we pretty much got what we need to.
Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, I think the gist of this whole video, guys, is just we love Arkham City, and we love the Arkhamverse, but Arkham City was an achievement for Rocksteady, and it brings us back to a bit of a brighter time for not just Batman fans but DC fans. We were eating good a lot of the time back then in
Yeah.
terms of quality, but
Hmm.
hopefully we can see a resurgence. This tends to happen every so often, every 10 years or so. We'll hit like a hiatus and then something will happen. So here's hoping that Arkham Shadow brings us back to having quality Arkham games for everyone to play, not just on the MetaQuest.
Oh Christ! Imagine if we have to wait another 10 years for another Arkham game to come out.
Somebody commented on the new Arkham Shadow release thing for Summer Games Fest. They're like, "Bro, y'all are milking the Arkhamverse at this point." And I'm like, "Bro, we haven't had a game since Arkham Knight. What are you talking about milking the Arkhamverse?" I don't count VR because it's nothing. So
Yeah, the
I just
only yeah we haven't had a like true release since 2016. So
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So much for milking. Like,
yeah,
that
really,
dried up for years.
yeah.
So,
What you think that the Arkham? What you think? You think you can just? Yeah, that was a John Bernthal reference, ladies and gentlemen. Um, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add apart from I love City, and I'm gonna replay it now.
yeah, I said my piece, which people can interpret in certain ways. Um, Asylum is my favorite, but City is the better game.
Undeniably the best
Yeah.
in terms of
Just
an
pure
overall
quality.
experience.
Yeah, just pure quality. Like, it just there's nothing that compares to it. Like, as much as people say, like, "Oh, Arkham Knight's the best," fuck yourself. Arkham City
It's just
is
brain
so
dead,
much better. Yeah.
dude. People that say that have no brain cells. I feel like that's crazy.
Yeah, that's called a TikTok brain or
It
brain rot.
literally it's brain rot. It's Arkham Night rot at this
Night
point.
rot.
Um, I think definitely, guys. If you guys want, I think we were doing the live streams. We're gonna start doing those. Hopefully regularly. This week was kind of crazy, but still, I want to get some out for you guys, and I think City would be a lovely place to go after we get whatever we're doing right now. I think we're still in Blackgate, correct?
Did a couple sessions of that, so
Yeah, we did.
yeah.
So maybe when we're done Blackgate, we'll pop on City as a RIP moment. Remember
Mhm.
the goat.
Yeah, we
So
do that.
yeah, but that was episode 50, guys. What did
Yeah.
you think? Was that as climactic as you thought it would be, Marvel?
Pulled a whole Protocol 10 on their asses.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to put that in the video too. Protocol 10 countdown.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so guys, that was episode 50. You guys have been amazing. With the support of the other videos coming out. Just it's been great. It's really been awesome to do these videos, and I always have a lot of fun talking about this stuff with Marvel. So, what's not to love? Arkham podcast with your friends, like, and we've done it 50 times so far, and we're glad that you guys are still with us, watching them and enjoying them. Um, yeah, Marvel, do you have anything to add on our episode 50 excursion?
After this, go watch the last 49 episodes for
Yeah,
our next one.
I'll link every single one in the description below so that you can click through with ease. Or here's the easier thing: you could go to the playlist we made called Intensive Treatment Podcast,
Yeah.
so you can watch every episode in order from first to 50 right now. Do it right now.
Now, where do we
Boys.
go from here?
That's that's the riddle that we keep on riddling.
Damn fucking Riddler. Shit.
Well, we know what we're doing for episode 100. That's all we know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
we know.
75.
Yeah.
But
We have a plan now for those episodes.
every 25 episodes, you know. So I guess that means at 125 we're gonna have to talk about VR, and then 150 we'll talk about Arkham Shadow, and by that time we'll either already have another Arkham game out, not Shadow, but like something else, or Arkham will be canceled at that point. It'll just be done. So then we'll have no more content. No. We'll always be thinking, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't
Even if
worry.
if just the stupidest thing you can imagine, we'll probably make that into a topic.
We'll be like, how did Bane become Bane? Featuring Alter Breath.
Yeah.
Just so that we can hear the brain rot, and people will be like, what the hell? I never thought Bane would be this interesting. But yeah. That's it for 50, guys. We hope you enjoyed. Do you have anything you want to add, like plug in anything before we end it?
Um I've been sick for the last week, so hopefully I can try and get back to making some content soon.
If you don't, we're done with you.
You'll never get rid of me.
I better see some content.
Stay tuned for Wednesday for my Planet of the Apes video.
Guys, this for me. I'm not really working on anything right now on the Swifty channel. But we got stuff cooking here. Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for the support. 75 subscribers. We hope that you guys can keep coming on this wacky journey with us on the road to 75 billion subscribers. We're almost there.
Yeah.
So we're at 75. We just need a billion more. That's how math works. But yeah, guys, until next time, stay locked up, be safe, and we'll see you all in the next one.